Hello guys and welcome back to TNT Madness. Today we're going to be looking at a cannon that is in between a shotgun cannon, which is the cannon that can shoot really long ranges with a bunch of TNT, and a tunneler cannon which really fires a ton of TNT back to back to back to back to back into an area, so you make like a tunnel but it happens instantly. So this is in between, as one, it is slightly slower than a tunneler cannon as it doesn't do anything the same, it sort of just fires over and over, but it can be also used like a shotgun cannon because it can fire a ton of TNT into one space. So I'm going to call this the barrel stuffing cannon or the barrel stuffer cannon because one, it fires a bunch of TNT into a tiny space, as you can see by this front barrel, and then the back barrel, which is the propellant, also fires a ton of TNT into a small space, and this cannon is absolutely tiny compared to what it can do. It fits in a free wide area which is absolutely tiny. Thanks to some really good redstone engineering, this has turned out to be really awesome, and as you can see, it just has some simple dispensers and redstone on top of it and just use some simple redstone mechanics, but what this can do is absolutely mental. So let's actually have a look at this because it is quite awesome. So now on to firing this, but before I do I need to explain some things. The first one is the optimal way to use this, or the reason this cannon exists, or the reason I made it, is the optimal way to use this is, let's say someone has an 8x8 area of land or a 10x10 area of land and factions, and then they have their base right in the middle and you can't get to it unless you destroy like 80 blocks underground. So this is essentially what this is used for, so assume that they are 70 or 80 blocks inside this, because it's 100 blocks long and 30 blocks wide and 20 blocks high, and just assume that they're in the middle, and then you're going to be using this cannon to get all the way through there because that's what it does, and assuming they don't have water walls, you'll be fine, but I'm sure if you're doing this they won't have water walls anyway. So the first thing we have here apart from that is that we have our little repeater system here, which is just a simple repeater clock. You can have a redstone torch clock, which will be actually longer. It's just I don't have to activate a lever, I can just simply add the button onto it, which is nice because it doesn't mean I have to fiddle around with a million other things. And two, this bedrock layer here is just to simulate what the underground will be, so this will be layer 0 and this is just 30 blocks high roundabout. And apart from that, there's not too much else to go on, except it fires slightly differently in 1.8.8. The main thing being it has slightly more range in this version, and I'm going to be showing you how it fires in that one and this one. And one other thing is this is open back. So what I mean by that is it's going to fire more to the side since there's more space on the sides than it will straight ahead, which is unfortunate because when you're in an actual closed situation, it just means it's going to blow up a larger area, so you're going to have a lot more space to roam freely, and if you miscalculate their block length, like you are 10 blocks left of where their base is, it's still fine because it's going to blow up a massive area anyway. So all that aside, let's actually test this. So if I press the button here, we can see the thing starts to fire off, TNT gets dispensed and they'll start firing off here, and then it actually fires up in an absolutely giant sort of like spiel. In the other version it is quite a bit more accurate, but as you can see it doesn't really matter, but now it's starting to blow up the own cannon. So as you can see, it absolutely just destroyed the 100 blocks and it's still firing, and it accidentally destroyed the front bit, and obviously it just ran out of TNT. But as you can see, this can easily get 100 plus blocks. You could probably go 200-300 blocks, like 10-20 chunks of this. So range is definitely not an issue, but as you know, we have another version to test out, so I'm just going to show you that very quickly. So now we're on 1.8.2, and if we press the button 1.8.1/2/0, and the other one was 1.8.8, and hopefully this one doesn't destroy everything. But this one fires slightly differently, as it fires slightly out to the side, because one, it is a lot denser. It fires slightly more accurately in this version than the other one for some reason, so this one creates more lateral damage or horizontal damage than the other one, but it does pretty much the same thing, except it keeps bumping onto this top bit here. So if there's less of this top bit, as you can see, half the TNT is hitting the back. So this proves another thing is it is much better on 1.8.8, which most of the servers are on now. But as you can see, it's already gotten through about 70 blocks and it's still going. And as I said, range is definitely not a problem on this, but now it seems to be maxing out slightly. So I'd recommend use this on 1.8.8 over any other version. as you will get more range. And as you can see, if we didn't have this top bit here for some reason, which is blocking it off, this could go a lot further. And the sun's setting. So anyway, now let's get on with the tutorial. So I know I said tutorial, but before I actually do that, I should probably briefly go over how the redstone works, because it is quite awesome how it works. So you press the button and these back propellant activates, and this is a total of 21 dispensers here. So that is a lot of TNT, especially since it's a small space, so you don't need a compressor type launcher. It'll all just go into this little spot here, which saves quite a bit of space. And the reason you can power these bottom dispensers here, because the redstone powers this block, which means that that block slash dispenser will be activated, and that same trick here applies here. But if I had that any taller, then it would be absolutely massive. And after that, we have a redstone torch here which inverts a signal, which then deactivates these 3 redstone repeaters, which are all set to 4 ticks delay. So we've got a 15 tick delay here, followed by a 6 tick delay before it is reactivated. So that means it is activated for 15 ticks, and since it takes 1 tick to go off and 12 ticks to go on, it means it's 13 ticks before it actually gets activated. And if that sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, then that is completely fine. But for people that actually care about that, and probably high level players will, then now you know. I know it's mumbo jumbo for most people. But anyway, after that we've got what is called an infinite torch clock, which is where we have, there's actually redstone supposed to be on here, is where we have this redstone torch on. We have redstone here and then redstone on top of it, and a redstone torch under it, and a redstone torch up here, and there is actually supposed to be another block up here, which is really weird. But what happens here is when you have the block up here, this block will power this block, which will power the redstone, which will then, it'll go, this block is powered, and will repower the redstone torch, and this will go on infinitely. But the problem with this is redstone torches burn out, so you get a 1 tick clock, but then after this burns out, it'll realize, this redstone is no longer powered, so this redstone torch will turn on, and it'll repeat, and then when this one burns out, this one will go back on. It works the same as a comparator clock pretty much, it just is slightly smaller. So on from there, then it just powers these dispensers every tick. So you get 15, you get round about 15 TNT per dispenser, and then you've got 25 dispensers here. So that creates a massive amount of TNT, somewhere around 400 per shot, which is absolutely crazy. But it also means you're going to be going through your resources really fast. So now let's actually get on to the tutorial. So what you're going to need is a 3x11 area, which is actually really tiny for a cannon that's this powerful. It's just absolutely tiny. But it doesn't really matter, because you're going to need some building blocks, 46 dispensers, 27 redstone, 3 redstone repeaters, 3 redstone torches, a pressure plate of any kind, it doesn't matter if it's wooden or stone this time, 5 fences, a wooden button, a water source block, and some slabs. You don't need slabs, but I'll explain in a minute. So the first thing you're going to be doing is placing down the dispensers at the back. So you want to place a 2x one here, and then a 2x4 area of dispensers here, and another 2x4 area of dispensers here. Then you want to get really cheeky and then place a temporary block here, and then you want to place 3 upside down dispensers above you. Then after that, you then want to place a water source block here, and then you want to place a block here. And the great thing about this is these top dispensers here add more propellant while also making it still be a barrel. That's one of the problems with fully automatic TNT cannons, is some of them they fire the TNT straight up, and if you have this, you won't have that problem. So now what you want to do is place a block here, 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 and here, just so you can stop the area from here and here, or the area that goes from here onwards. And then you want to then destroy these 5 middle blocks here and place some fences, and if you want to, you can keep these outer blocks, but you don't actually need them. And then what you want to do now to stop this water from flowing is place down a pressure plate here, which also acts as an anchor, because it is 0.10 of a block tall, or 0.1 of a block tall, and that way the TNT will just stop here like it would like a normal slab. Next thing you want to do is then get your dispensers out again, and then we're going to be placing dispensers along here and a 2x5 grid on each side. So after you've done it on that side, you can then go on the other side and place a 2x5 grid. Make sure it is a block above the pressure plate. And then again, we're going to get cheeky and build another barrel, because the main problem with these is you want to be as accurate as possible, but it is really hard to make a barrel. So the solution to this, instead of having really huge amounts of dispensers going up, I just made it slightly longer, but made sure it was only 2 blocks tall. That also solves a lot of problems, like I said earlier, that you don't have to have redstone on top of it, or else it'll make it a million times bigger. So what we're going to do now is then place redstone on top of all these dispensers here, and do the same for here as well. After you've placed redstone on all this, we can actually start doing the real redstone. But all you want to do now is just cover up these 2 blocks here to make sure no extra TNT goes flying out in case it does. It's very unlikely, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So now what you want to do is come around the back here, place a block here, get your redstone torch. Now you can get your slabs out if you want them, it's not necessary, but then you want to place a redstone torch here to invert the signal, and then don't do what I did, but you want to place a block on top of it, and then you want to go along here and place a slab if you want, and the reason for this is to stop budding. Most servers do not have this problem, but it just stops budding in case, because if this does happen, then it will power these 3 dispensers here. And if you don't know how budding works, that's fine, you don't really need to, but it just means that these 3 will be powered, and it's just 3 less propellant, and you'll have less range, and you'll probably be wondering at the end why they are still full of TNT. So after that, you just want to place a block here and go up by another block, and then you want to place a redstone torch in front of here and in front of here with a block on top of there. Then you want to place redstone here, and you are completely finished. All you have to do is fill up all these 47 dispensers with TNT. Of course, you want to fill up the front ones with absolutely gigantic amounts of TNT, because you're going to be going through that like nobody's business. But apart from that, you're done. So anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like, and if you really liked it, hit that subscribe button, especially if you're new. But anyway, goodbye from TNT Madness.